To record my progress, I was able to take the Blender file and I was able to bring it into Unity. And while I have far too many vertices and I have far too many unique materials, I was able to bring the blend file in here and then bring the satellite image, which of course in Blender, that's this image here when you go to UV editing. So you're in your model and you say, well, how do I get my textures? And so I selected the cube there, and then I go to UV editing, and then I look at what is mapped onto it, and it's called AOL Pulsar Cemetary Google Satellite Ping. And I found that, and I brought that into Unity as well, and selected this Akrich cube, and then I just dragged the. Actually, I selected that part of the cube, the plane cube, and then I dragged this onto there, and it mapped up just as it did in Blender. And then I went and I did test scene because I have the Spatial SDK. And it was hard to get that Spatial SDK into Unity 2021.3.44 F1 because it used to, when I was doing it, if you look at my Unity Hub, I used to get it working with 2021.3.21 F1, and that wasn't working at all because they upgraded it. Yes, and so you can see, and I was looking at, oh, there's two of me in there. I was looking at Spatial Unity, looking at their installation, and you can see that it says that it's now 2021.3.44F, and we were using 2021.3.21, which says they say they're supported for legacy reasons. Anyway, I've downloaded the starter template, and every time I tried to open the starter template in 2021.3.44F, it just hung completely. So my workaround was to go in and take that starter template and open up a file in Unity 2021.3.441 and then bring into the folder here, bring in just the assets. So I brought in the spatial assets, this one here. So I just dropped all the assets in there. And I also brought in the packages. But that's the only things I brought in from the folder that had come in with my my spatial SDK. And it updated and it worked. So fingers crossed. I'm happy about that. I'm going to have to do some great major decimation, but I did hit test scene, and I want to just show that it is working because there's my character, and there's the landscape, and my character is walking around, and while I lost some textures for sure, I do have a lot of the assets in there, and that's nice because it means I will be able to show off this in Spatial as well as Roblox, because Roblox is giving me trouble with textures. For example, when I come into this part of the Jewish cemetery and walk in here, oh, it's got no collision. Ain't that nice? But there are pictures of the saint that I want to put here, and pictures of the offerings table that Roblox community standards wouldn't allow, calling it too political. So I want to be able to model this in Unity for Spatial, and then I can I have more control. So while there's a lot of work to do, I am pleased that I can access this in Spatial now and invite people technically to join me, not now that I'm in the Sandbox, because the Sandbox is not published, but potentially once I've fixed all these issues, I'll be able to have people join me on their phones, tablets, computers, and in VR, which is where I'm hoping to go with it. So there's certainly a lot, and he falls through. So no collision on these models. So there's a lot of work that has yet to be done. And now he's lost. So look at that. But you know, we'll cross that bridge now. At least that we know that we can use this in Spatial. So that's a good thing. And I think what I'll do now is I'll see how it updates when you update in Blender. So for example, that floor was not collidable. And when I'm in Unity and I go into our, let's see, I always forget in Unity if you can fly in. Like, how do you get in there? Do you do Control W? You can't do W? I thought you could navigate, but apparently not. Because in Roblox, you would just navigate the same way that I would do in Blender when I'm in my layout and I want to move around and I don't want to try to use the mouse scroll wheel. I hit Shift and tilde, and then, as I said, I hit, Shift tilde, and then yeah, when I hit W, I can zoom in using the WASD keys, just like in a video game, and I can move around the model. So that's very important when you try to get into rooms like this that are very tight, that you can get in and move about with your gaming keys. Otherwise, it's just a nightmare. So let's see for Unity, when you go in and you want to zoom in, what Unity allows us to do there for zooming in. Yes, you hold the right mouse button down, and that gets you into this this view mode, and then you can use the WASD keys and move about. Now this one here, this building needs a component, so it would need physics, and then it would need a mesh collider. And now that it has a mesh collider, if I were to reload to test the scene, then I should be able to walk on the floor instead of falling through it. So let me save this, and let's test the scene. And it's going to build it up, and it may take its sweet time doing that. So while we're doing, well, it seems to be going very fast, because I guess I've already made the model once in the sandbox. So this isn't taking too long, and that's good. And then here we are, and we're reloading. So we close that version of the sandbox. And let's see if indeed it lets us walk with those collisions, because that would just mean that we have to apply collision each time to each object. So there we are. And there's no collision in this wall, so I can jump right through it. But the landscape, I put a mesh collider on. That's why you can walk down the hill, which is good. Now when we go into the room, he can't even get in. Okay, so he's stuck outside because it has a collider. Nope, he did get in. He got in, and he's walking on the floor. Okay, so it did work as we wanted it to. It's just a little awkward for him to get in and out, but he does. He can get in and out. I think I got to make the door a bit bigger, but I did get in there, and I can now start working with textures. So that is a really good result. I'm rather pleased with that. So then when I come back to here, I wonder, let's just see, because when I was inside this building, and let me do Shift tilde again to be able to zoom in, and maybe hit Shift and W to, oops, let's do it again, Shift tilde, and then start moving in. Wow, that certainly is not working well. Why? Okay, Shift tilde. No, it's taking all of forever to go in. That shouldn't happen. That should, when we go to view and we go to navigation and we go to walk navigation, for example, we should be able to go in much quicker than this. So something is up. Maybe it's because I'm also using Unity at the same time. And then all of a sudden it does start to work. I don't know. But I just wanted to show that when I'm inside, if I can get inside again, where am I? Go that way, go inside the wall there, right there. When I'm inside, I have here in Blender, for example, this work in Hebrew here. And that, when I would go in and select it, if I then go to UV editing, that here is called Hebrew plaque ping. And technically, that should go into, I should be able to rebuild that right in here if I have the cube named right, which is Hebrew plaque. That's that one there. And so if I bring in here my import new asset and find Hebrew plaque ping, and that's the one, right? Should be that one there. It's the whole one. So if I bring that in, and then wait for it to crunch compress. And this could be part of the material. Yeah, it goes right onto the wall where it needs to be. And that might be true for each of the assets we bring in. I mean, if I bring in, if I go out of here and I just go to my details and find like the metal blue door and the wavy fabric and the tablecloth and the marble mosaic tile, although that's one's a GIMP file. So there's marble mosaic tile, a small one that we want, floor tiles, it's a rather big one, I think. There's the other one, 347 KB. The Kupat Tzedakah, the saint picture, the Hebrew box marble, Jewish saint box, the Cohen room wall, and we already put the Hebrew plaque in, so I think we're okay there. Then when we import all those, they may just map on because we're using the Blender file. And I'm not sure about what folders they should be, and if I move the folder, they could get disconnected. But yeah, there we go. Oh, that's nice. All right. The pillows don't have textures yet, but that does. So now if we go and we test the scene, we save it. We have a pretty faithful rendition here from what we were doing in Blender. And this is working ever so much better than Roblox Studio, where the import is really awkward. And I still want to do Roblox, but I was using Roblox Studio because I couldn't get Spatial to work. And now I'm hoping we'll be able to publish in Spatial. So let's see. Loading your sandbox, hang tight. And here we go. And so we're walking and walking through stuff. We'll turn collisions on all that when we get there. But now let's go inside the room. Good, the door is there in the right color. And we go in, and yeah, there's our textures. And these were the images that I was reported on in Roblox Studio as being, I think it was this image here, where it says he's a Jewish saint that many people come to visit. And for some reason, they rejected it and almost banned me from the platform. So good, we're in good shape to continue with this, and I think it's time to eat now, and then we will come back and start working on making the proper model, and then we'll try to see if we can um, if we can publish it so many people can join. All right. Thanks for watching, if you're watching.